Hello, everyone. I'm Lisa Parenteau, and I'd like to welcome you to Lifting Others as We Rise, the podcast where we dive into the world of real estate and the power of positive thinking. In each episode, we're going to bring you inspiring conversations with real estate professionals and other thought leaders who have really harnessed the power of lifting others up along their journeys. So let's get ready to elevate our mindset. Lifting Others as We Rise podcast, where inspiration is a catalyst for action. Let's go. Welcome to Lifting Others as We Rise podcast. I am your host, Lisa Parenteau, realtor, team leader, CRS, broker associate, a serial volunteer, but most importantly, Glamma here on beautiful Cape Cod in Massachusetts. And I am Glamma to Eloise Ann, who is 4, and she's the light of our lives. I'm thrilled to welcome you to this episode of the podcast. I know you're going to enjoy today's episode. So get comfy, settle in, whether you're at the gym, just listening to something, sitting around with a cup of tea, or driving. My intention, as always, is to discover inspiration and catalysts for change in the stories of real estate leaders. Today, my guest is Amy Friede. I'm so excited to see you, Amy. I've heard so much about you. You know, Amy is a licensed realtor in Bonita Springs, Florida, with a PhD and over 80 million. I got to find out about that. Over 80 million in sales, combining her real estate experience with her passion for writing, which is one of the reasons why her bio says the content escrow, and we will get there for sure. So you have been writing, you've been working as a ghostwriter in addition to selling real estate for team leaders, luxury agents, and real estate media outlets. Recent publications include some contributions to women in real estate anthology and working on your own book, and then some housing platforms like Housing Wire. So she has a membership program, which she will talk to us about. But let me welcome you to the podcast. And I just know we're going to discover some amazing things that have made you as successful and as sparkly as you are today. Welcome, welcome, Amy.
Thank you so much, Lisa. I'm happy to be here.
Yeah. So PhD, what the heck? What is your PhD in?
Listen, I am a serial, go get that next thing kind of learning experience. And before my real estate life, which many of us have, I was in education for almost 20 years, and I was working at a university in Boston. There was an education benefit, and I already had my undergrad and I already had a master's, and I was like, well, what else can I do to keep busy? So I decided to get a PhD. I know, not normal. Most people take up knitting, but no, this is what I decided to do. And it's a test of your will. I will tell you that.
That's hard stuff.
There's a lot of self accountability and keeping yourself motivated and all that, but it was an amazing experience. I shouldn't say I don't use it. I think I probably use it more than I realize these days. But
what's the PhD
in? It was education.
Okay, it's in education. Got it.
Yeah. Yep. But interestingly enough, my dissertation was about successful partnerships, effective practices and successful partnerships in the education space. But so many of those things are transferable to the business world. So,
of course, and I'm going to touch on that idea of success in a moment, but let me first ask you something that I ask all my guests in the beginning of our time together. Can you recall a specific event that set you on the path for where you are today? A catalyst for change, if you will.
That is a great question. And probably it's going to come across as a downer, but it's not really. I'm going to say a divorce. That was the point at which I realized I've got to figure this out on my own. I'm bright. I'm capable. Let's do it. Let's get it together. Let's get a plan and let's make it happen. Yeah, I think that was way before even, real estate and everything, but that was just a come to Jesus moment, as they say, and a moment of knowing that I have it in me to be successul.
Yeah. So interestingly, that is actually how I started my real estate career. I was home with kids and I thought, what can I do? I'm now, and looking back, and I was kind of getting myself together for as I was leaving my first husband, for sure. And real estate, always looks on the outside like, hey, you've got your own hours. It's so easy. You can do anything when you want to do it. And they make a lot of money. It's fantastic. And that was back in the 90s. Yeah. Interest rates were 14%, 15%. We thought the world was great. There were no buyer agents. It was a very, very different world for sure.
Yeah.
So just tell me a little bit about real estate. We'll just talk for a moment about real estate. When did you find yourself all of a sudden hey, why don't I become a realtor?
Yeah. So collectively, my husband and I have done kind of some investment and some flipping and some real estate stuff throughout our life. And like I said, I was in education. I was in the public sector. I was a middle school French teacher, believe it or not. And then I went to the university level, and then I got courted into the ed tech space, which sounded glamorous at the time with the free snacks in the break room and the stock options. And it was not the right fit for me. So when I realized this isn't a good place for me to be, my husband said, "What about real estate? Like, we've been dabbling, we've been doing it personally, and I think you'd be good. Go give it a whirl." So I did. And that was almost 7 years ago now.
Wow. So it was a job change in leaving
Yep.
leaving the
Yep.
corporate world. So as
Yeah.
many of us, leaving the corporate world also means leaving a corporate paycheck. So talk a little bit about a challenge that happened around that kind of maybe set the ways that you created your business for yourself and what that looked like.
Yeah. Well, I will say, taking into account all the factors, we were house hacking. So we lived in a multifamily with tenants. So like there were bills that were being paid by rental income. So it was a little bit less of a stressor. But I also knew I had to really set myself up for success early on if I was going to make a go of this. And I didn't know the first thing about it. So my instinct was to join a team. Let me go work with people who know what they're doing, who have systems in place. Let me learn from them. Let me watch. Let me listen. Let me take in as much as I can. And I had probably I had a 6-figure year as a first year real estate agent, which I
Wow.
think is, testament to me, but also to the support I got from my team. And the real estate market was good then. So lots of factors, but I think that's what really, I knew going in, like, I can't go solo. It's not my personality. It's not my style. I need to learn, much like my PhD. Like, I need to learn. I need to get the foundation before I keep working.
Yeah, I love that. I think I just had a guest recently that talked about the same thing. That was one piece of advice as a luxury agent that she would give to people who want to break into luxury. And that was specific about joining a team. But I think I have to believe all of us in some way. And sometimes that looks like a high D and sometimes it looks like a high CS, right? All of us are entrepreneurs in some way. And that is a little bit of a lone rangery kind of mentality, but there is so much value in thinking about a team and what a team can bring. I know I love having new agents and seasoned agents join my team because it also reinvigorates
Sure.
and we all want to share. Some of us have been around for a while and sold a lot of properties, and inherent in that is the 8,000 left turns that eventually equal a right, but we have a lot of experience and we love to talk about it. So I
Yep.
think joining a team, being part of something bigger than yourself is a great piece of advice for sure. And I'm glad that you did that. Are you still on a team now?
No. So, like everyone on this journey, it takes twists and turns. And once I got my feet under me and sat down and understood what commission splits meant,
Yeah,
I looked at the math and I was like, okay, this is good, but
it could be better.
it could be better.
Yeah,
And I kind of know what I'm doing. So let's figure this out.
through that.
I outgrew that, but I knew throughout my professional career, I've always had amazing mentors. I've been incredibly fortunate. And I was reflective enough to know I still can't go this alone. I need to find a mentor, which I could go on for days about. So stop me if I talk too much. And it was so interesting. So I am an agent in Boston as well. And I was doing a lot of work in Boston and in Jamaica Plain. And I kept running into the same listing agent. She had all these listings. And I was like, what's the special sauce? Like, what's going on? And so one day I just cold emailed her and I said, hi, we've met at this property, that property, and this property. I am looking for a mentor. I think you're amazing. Can we just get coffee?
Nice.
She was like, absolutely. We get coffee again. We get lunch again. And finally, she just leans across the table and she said, why don't you just come work with me? And I was like, and she was like this powerhouse, 40 years in the business.
An amazing opportunity.
I'm like getting chills talking about it.
Created that opportunity, Amy.
And it was so mutually beneficial because she would joke, like, I've got old knees. I can't be running up and down all these stairs in these triple deckers, right? And at the same time, like, I could bring my social media knowledge and my, like, more kind of, I don't want to say current, but some of the newer things in the industry, I could teach her. Meanwhile, I'm learning from 4 decades worth of experience in dealing with clients and tough
Nice.
negotiations and inspections and all those things. So
Perfect.
that was like phenomenal.
Yeah, that's perfect. So tell me, I see that you had that experience. You were with a team and then found yourself realizing that maybe you'd outgrown that, but knew enough that a coach and a mentor was indispensable for success. Many of us,
Yep.
I have a Tony Robbins coach I've had for years. She now actually deals with a lot of realtors, which is really great. The one that I had for many years didn't really. So it was kind of, she served a great purpose in my life. But so that coaching thing, but what would you say is your current 2024 April definition of success?
I will
What
say,
does
so I
success
have,
look like to you?
this has been a twisty road. So I've since left that. When I decided to move to Florida, I left that mentor in Boston. So I came here, I was solo. It was messy. I didn't love it. And I ended up finding another partner. And I think partnership is really what success means to me. It's the ability to not just like make the deals happen, but to support each other and just, share knowledge and give opinions and pick, it's not always 50-50. There are some days where I'm 20% on my game and he's 80%, and that's okay. And we understand each other and we work well with each other. We have complementing strengths. So I think just really that partnership. He's more my equal now instead of a mentor as much, but having that collegiality in the real estate space where we're so often lonely and, the lone wolf, as we joke, having that person I know I can turn to, ask questions of, get support from is indispensable.
So tell me a little bit about how, besides the real estate piece, when you were looking to identify someone to be in partnership with, what were some of the qualities that you were looking for that were going to either offset some of your, I won't say deficiencies, but offset things that you were not as skilled in? How did you go about that? Did it just kind of happen, or were you very intentional around that?
I wish I was more intentional. It actually worked out.
Claim it. No.
It's actually a funny story. So it is an agent I knew from running around the Boston scene in real estate. And I was sitting in my office here in Florida, and he walked in the door, and I looked at it and I said, "What are you doing here?" Like, we weren't ever partners before this. He just walked in the door, and I said, "What's happening?" And he's like, "I work here now." So he had also gotten a Florida license, and he was doing the back and forth thing. And I was like, okay. And so it kind of just like the universe decided that we were meant to work together. But upon reflection, I am shockingly very introverted, which is difficult in this business. I have, not ironically, funny enough, my book that I published last year is How to Succeed in Real Estate When You Don't Really Like People. Because it's a running joke that I don't like people. And this is a people business, right? And so I think I really lucked out that my partner is more extroverted than I am, loves the grind and the hustle and the people and all that. And I am much more like, let me handle the back end systems. Let me keep things organized. Let me teach you how to do luxury, because he's not really been in the luxury market like I have. And so there are things I'm bringing to him that he benefits from and things he's bringing to me. And truly pure, like, dumb luck. But in hindsight, if I had to choose someone, I would definitely seek someone with that like extroverted networky quality, because I can do it and I'm good at it, but it exhausts me. It's just not how I'm built. And also I really enjoy the systems and the structure. So someone that needed that, like, I would be happy to share that level of my expertise to someone who could benefit from that. Because I think it's not so much about what can I take from that other person, but what can I give to that person too?
I love that. I love that. What can I really give? And I think I work in the same way, that kind of collaborative. When I look back at the different things I've done in my life, there was always another person that was there that had the opposite skill sets. And we usually marry those people as well. I don't know about you, but sometimes it works out, sometimes it doesn't. But I think those of us that are super extroverted need people like you, because it is a punishment to make us sit in a chair and look at CRM results. I had to hire someone, my assistant, almost 3 years now, because we can do it, just like we can probably dive off of a high diving board, but it is not something that we're inclined to do. It's not something we're good at. And, I remember earlier in my career, my business life, people always saying, push through the things that you don't do well and try to do them better. And then there became this kind of wave of zeitgeist that was like, why don't you just get better at the things you love and you're good at?
Yeah.
I was like,
stay in your zone of genius.
That path a lot better than the other path.
For sure. Yeah. We try and force ourselves outside of our zone of genius. Why? Like, this is where we operate best and are most successful. Find somebody else to do those other parts.
I love that zone of genius. I love that. I'm going to bring that back up again. Let me give you a moment to talk about your ghostwriting, because I do want to make sure, and we're going to have, don't worry, listeners, there's going to be information in the show notes with your website, with any other kind of promotional information you want to share with everyone, for sure. But tell me a little bit about how that ghostwriting piece started, and, just share with us a little bit about that piece of your life and your business.
You bet. So real estate is seasonal in New England, as you know, and the post-Thanksgiving to pre-Valentine's time in a quote unquote normal market can be a little slow. So one year, I want to say it was probably 2019. It was winter-ish in New England. I was cold. I was bundled up in my house. I was bored. And I also was reflecting, like, I kind of miss my PhD work and my writing, and like, how can I fill that void? And I don't even remember how I stumbled across it, but I got hired to do some ghostwriting for an online platform in the real estate space. And I was cranking out like 4 to 6 articles a week. And I was like, this is amazing. I love this. So I always kept doing it because it was like a little side income. I knew the real estate space. I was good at writing. I could do it quickly. People liked it. So I always stayed in there, but always ghostwriting, right? So somebody else's name on my work. And then finally I was like, wait one hot second. Like, why am I giving someone else credit for everything I'm doing? And last year I said, okay, I know enough about this. And I think there's a need. I think, like we were just talking about zone of genius, like so many real estate agents need to communicate with the written word, but don't want to do it, don't have time to do it, don't know how to do it, aren't good at it. And I said, let me help them, because genuinely, like, do I want to make money in my business? Sure. But I also want all of us to look better from the bottom of my heart. Like, the better we all look, the better we look as an industry, and less of that, like, oh, anybody can be a real estate agent, right? Let's elevate the quality of all of our perceptions, because we all do better. The rising tide lifts all boats, that whole thing. So long story short, I launched That Real Estate Writer last year with kind of a suite of offerings. I do custom work. I do everything from blog posts to newsletters to short form books. But then I wanted a much more kind of accessible and affordable option because, as real estate agents, we're paying MLS fees, licensing fees, CRM fees, everything's a cost. Yep. Yes. And so I created a written content membership, basically, where once a month you get a set of new templates. There are client email templates, there are newsletter templates, there are email templates for your referral partners, for your networking partners. There's random bonus content I throw in all the time. And it's $11 a month because I want people to have it and I want them to do better. And I'm going to write them anyway because it brings me joy. So, like, just everyone, they're customizable. They're not Mad Libby. They're more like structured and you plug in your own stuff.
Can you pull them into Canva or anything? Just curious.
So they're strictly text-based, but you could just copy and paste them into Canva. Yep. Or your CRM or kind of whatever system you use. Yeah, I just want everybody to not struggle with their writing, because I know so many people who probably don't send a newsletter or don't blog or don't post on LinkedIn because time, energy, know-how, motivation. And so it's just another way to build your brand authority and establish your presence and be top of mind and all those things we hear about in the real estate space.
Let me take a left turn with a question. Are you using our friend at ChatGPT to help out with any of that?
I often use it for, people have very strong opinions in both camps about ChatGPT. I often use it to generate ideas and just make sure I'm on the right track, because it's great for research. It can pull data from the internet and really summarize the landscape in a much more quick version than I can, which is why it's $11 a month too, right? Like, if I was deeply researching and writing and doing all this myself, it'd be a lot more than $11 a month. So yes, full disclosure, yes, absolutely. But I'm almost embarrassed to say this.
And that's the thing. I mean, many people fall into a black hole, and you keep pressing, do it again. And you can usually tell, I can tell when something has been written by ChatGPT. Right. And yet there are so many prompts. I remember when we first got the idea to use it for property descriptions, we were like, oh my God, that is fabulous. So I don't go to that far extreme end of how it's going to take over our brains and ruin the world.
Yeah.
I just find it incredibly useful and then fascinating to observe as it begins to be woven. But I always look at the for good part. Like I do think it's probably not being used for the best purposes everywhere.
Yeah.
But anyway, so I want to make sure we definitely include that. What an amazing service. And I can tell that you're leading from the heart on that.
Mhm.
And that is another way that we're lifting others as we rise, right? Like you get a lot out of that. But how good for you, a little evergreen content. I'm sure maybe, I don't know if this contract's a month. We're going to check it out for sure. I'm going to have my assistant look at that right away. For sure, we may be a new subscriber. He does do a lot of stuff. But also the other caution with that is, some of us belong to services. And if you look carefully, the same post on LinkedIn is going up from X number of people because we all have KCM, or we all use Coffee and Contracts, or there's a couple of content sites that we all use. So using yours would also bring a little more of a diversity. So I just want to thank you so much, Amy. This has been an absolute thrill. A couple of things that you mentioned that I want to kind of hone in on. And one of them was that concept of partnership and collaboration. And I think that is so important in our profession, really, in so many ways, because it just sets a tone for that we have to collaborate with both sides of a transaction. We also have to collaborate with a huge team of escrow and title inspectors and insurance people and so many. So that collaboration and partnership, what an important piece. And I think one of the takeaways people could think about from our episode, is there somewhere you could nurture and honor a partnership that you have in your current business, in your current life? That's something that I love when you said you have templates for your referral partners, because that's a big piece of my business. And we do a referral newsletter every month. But the other thing you mentioned was zone of genius. And I want to just give you the last word on that to kind of share and maybe have people to have a consideration about the idea of zone of genius and choosing those partners.
Sure. I think as solopreneurs or entrepreneurs or independent contractors, whatever label we want to put on it, we try to do it all, because not doing it all costs money, sometimes, often. And, you may want to have control over things. But the reality is, the time you spend spinning your wheels trying to do those tasks that you're not good at, you're taking time away from what I call your zone of genius, which is the stuff you are really good at. And all those pieces contribute to the success of your business. But if you look at, I could spend 8 hours of my day really doing what I'm really good at, or 4 hours and then 4 hours spinning my wheels on CRM backends and writing blogs. A, what's going to bring you joy? Like, this is our life. This is our work. Do you want to be doing stuff that you hate all day? I don't. And B, the more you spend in your zone of genius, the more money you're going to make. So outsource that stuff. Find somebody, or find a partner. Find a partner who loves those systems and that file management and all that stuff you hate to do. Or for me, the networking piece. Find someone that you can support and collaborate with to allow you both, or allow you, if you're in a partnership, allow you to stay each in your zone of genius, which is where you're happy, you're most successful, your energy is best used.
Well, thank you. That's amazing. Again, I've so enjoyed this time together, and thank you for joining us. We look forward to the next time. I look forward to the next time our paths cross. Thank you so much again, Amy.
Thank you, Lisa.
Thank you for joining us on another amazing and inspiring episode of Lifting Others as We Rise. I hope you enjoyed my conversation with Amy as much as I did. And I also hope you're going to calendar some time to consider some of the things that we talked about that could act as a catalyst for change. One of them, most importantly, I think, was to really think, is there someone in your life who is a current partner, a collaboration partner, referral partner, who really ends up being someone that you have complementary skill sets with? And is there some way you could nurture and grow that partnership? She also talked about that zone of genius and continuing to identify and celebrate your zone of genius will also help you attract others that are both in that zone, as well as others that really complement that zone. So if you enjoyed today's insights, please be sure to subscribe, rate, and leave a review. Your feedback really matters. Until the next episode, keep the positivity and inspiration flowing. And remember, when we make an effort to lift others with intention, we all rise together. This is Lisa Parenteau signing off from Lifting Others as We Rise. Take good care.